Hey guys and gals, somehow when I was making my episode the other day on my collection, I was showing you the jazz shelf of the New York labels. I did the Bethlehem and Savoy stuff on top, went down to Riverside, across to Prestige, and I forgot to go back up and cover Blue Note of all labels. I got a fairly decent Blue Note collection, 500 strong, and I figured I'd do a little more in-depth dig into my Blue Note records and show you some of that stuff. So again, there's the New York Jazz Records. The bottom shelf is empty with some storage space for it to grow. And again, the top side over here was Savoy, Bethlehem, and then this whole section's Blue Note. And then Prestige is below it, Riverside, and then it's the Verve stuff, ABC Impulse, and Atlantic's down there with Fusion, CTI stuff. And so I'm going to show you more about that Blue Note stuff right there, because I kind of gave it a short change the other day. So hold on, here we go. Okay, first I'm going to show you my Blue Note 10 inches. This is not a complete collection. A lot of the Blue Note 10 inch stuff was issued on LP, so therefore I haven't grabbed it. There's some other titles I haven't grabbed, plus there's some Dixieland era stuff. But let's just take a quick peek through here. See what we got. The Tal Farlow, George Lewis, which is from the Dixieland series. Best from the West, I think that's volume 1. Howard McGee, Night at Birdland, volume 3. Sal Salvador, one of my favorite guitar players. The Great Fats Navarro. Herbie Nichols, that's part 2. Gil Mel, he's got a number of 10 inches I don't have. Bache, 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 Bache. That's all from the 7000 series, not the 5000 series. Here's more of that West Coast stuff, volume 2. Clifford Brown, Miles Davis, 5022. This one's 5071, which actually was an addition. Kenny Drew, 5023, that's great stuff. Herbie Nichols, volume 1. Dizzy Gillespie, Horn of Plenty, which is a French Vogue release, if I remember. Irby Green, who was a leading pole getter in the trombone at that point. More 7000 series Dixieland Jubilee with Art Hodes from Chicago. Alma Hope Quintet. J.J. Johnson. And then also from that same series, I'm going to show you Hank Mobley. It's the Japanese 12-inch version of the 10-inch. Frank Foster. Again, it's a 10-inch on the 12-inch. Wynton Kelly. Same story. The Kelly's kind of an interesting record because it comes out so much earlier than any of his other stuff, like 52, and then he doesn't make another record until like 57 or 8 as a leader on Riverside. And this is some Vicente Bache stuff from the 10-inch era being repackaged on the 12-inch era. So that covers the 7000 series and the 5000 series. Now we'll move on to the 1500 series. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the 1500 series. And these are actually the two vocal records on the 9000 series, Dodo Green and Sheila Jordan, Duke Jordan's wife. Miles Davis, 1 and 2. And these early Miles Davis records will be from the 10-inch era, same with the Bud Powell. In fact, most of the first dozen or so titles are stuff from the 10-inch era. J.J. Johnson, Jazz Messengers 1 and 2, Will Jackson, and the Monk stuff. And then that Jimmy Smith is probably the first original material in the 15,000 sequence. Great That Jones record right there. New Sound, New Star, more Jimmy Smith. Yoda Hip, Hickory House Volume 2, the great Gil Mel, who had, I think, 4 10 inches, and that's new material there. Horace Silver, Herbie Nichols, fantastic pianist. More Horace Silver, that one's a little bit more spotlight on the drums. Art Blakey, Birdland Volume 2. This is the second cover of the Birdland. Reed Miles covers here. Same record though. That stuff's also on 10-inch. Introducing Kenny Burrell, Kenny Dorham at Cafe Bohemia. More Jimmy Smith. The great Clifford Brown Memorial, which that stuff's from the early 50s. More Fantastic Thad Jones. Jimmy Smith at the Baby Grand Club in Delaware. More You Got a Hip with Zoot Sims now. Great record. Fats Navarro. This is 10-inch stuff again. More Fats Navarro. And then we got Johnny Griffin's Arrival from Chicago. The great Paul Chambers' first record as a leader. More Kenny Dorham. And that's Dorham. It's also from an earlier era. Jared Montrose, a fantastic tenor player. This is Lou Donaldson, 1537. I think that was made from some 10 inches. Lee Morgan Indeed. Wonderful Lee Morgan's Arrival at Blue Note. Horace Silver. This is 6 pieces of silver. Fantastic record. This is the great Hank Mobley with Donald Byrd and Lee Morgan. Lee Morgan's second Blue Note. Great stuff. Rollins' debut at Blue Note. Kenny Burrell's second record at Blue Note. Hank Mobley, All Stars. Great record. Tough to find. More early Lou Donaldson being repackaged. Thad Jones' third and final record at Blue Note. It's a killer. Date with Jimmy Smith. Great group with Donaldson, Byrd, Mobley, Eddie McFadden on the guitar. Part 2 of that. And then from Chicago, Cliff Jordan and John Gilmore. And you have the great Hank Mobley, number 1550. Okay, so now 1551. More Jimmy Smith of the organ. 1552 with Donaldson, Burrell, Blakey, McFadden. Great groups. Art Blakey, Orgy and Rhythm. There was no 1553, by the way. 1555, part 2. More Jimmy Smith, great cover. 1557, Lee Morgan, Getting Deeper. Sonny Rollins, his second record. More Johnny Griffin, great record right there. Hank Mobley, killer. Seibu Martinez, conga player. Stylings of Silver, 1562. Original pressing of that. Jimmy Smith Plays Pretty for You. Pretty rare record right there, Paul Chambers record. Clifford Jordan out of Chicago. You can see how those are done by the same graphic designer. Lou Donaldson. This is original material now. That's a really good record. 1567. Come on. Curtis Fuller, the opener. Great trombone player. He was a big part of Blue Note this late 57, 58 period. Mobley again, Curtis Porter, Sonny Clark, Paul Chambers. Bill Hardman's on that one. That's Chambers' third and final record as a leader at Blue Note. Sonny Clark, he starts making records as a leader here. Some of Blue Note's grittiest material. The great Bud Powell, and what a presence Bud brings. Curtis Fuller, bone and baritone. Tate Houston plays the baritone on that. Interesting thing about Bud Powell, he's one of the only guys from that earlier era that Blue Note really makes a consistent effort to keep recording. John Jenkins, fantastic player. Hank Mobley, Lee Morgan, Peck in Time, cool cover. City Lights, more great Lee Morgan. Sonny Clark, one of my favorite records ever, 1576. Followed up by John Coltrane's Blue Train. And that's probably the first real famous record of this bunch in terms of pop culture. More Lee Morgan, the Cooker. Here's Sonny Clark, piano trio with Philly Joe and Paul Chambers. More Johnny Griffin out of Chicago. Recorded in New York, I'm pretty sure, though. One of the best Sonny Rollins records ever, Live at the Village Vanguard. Cliff Craft by Cliff Jordan. More Curtis Fuller, 1583. 1584, Lewis Smith. The hard bop stuff starts becoming so popular here that the Jimmy Smith stuff is kind of thinned out here. It's really thick there from 1520 to 1560. That's the second pressing, the second copy of that. There's the second volume of that. Benny Green back on the scene, 1587. 1588, Sonny Clark Cool Struttin'. It's a pretty famous cover. 1589, Horace Silver, Further Explorations. That's a great record. Lee Morgan, Candy. 1591, Lou Donaldson Takes Off. Probably Donaldson's most aggressive record. Again, you have Fuller, Clark, and Donald Byrd on there. Sonny Clark, 1592. And this is a Japanese version of it because it was never actually issued at the time. Lou Donaldson's Blues Walk, probably his most famous piece, and it's autographed by him. Smithville, fantastic Lewis Smith, a great trumpet player. If I remember, he comes from Memphis, but ends up being in Detroit for quite a while. Camel Airly, Something Else. Probably the second most famous blue note of this era is that one behind the Coltrane Blue Train. Then you have the two Kenny Burrell Blue Lights records with the Andy Warhol covers. Then you got 1598, more great Bud Powell stuff. 1599, Soul Stern by Benny Green, great tromboner. And then the Three Sounds debut, number 1600, which culminates that sequence. So that's the 1500 sequence. You can see that gap there's where I just showed you. That first little chunk right there is what I already showed you as well. Then we have all that blue note to go. I'll probably show you that in my next little episode. So that's the 1500 sequence, the 10-inch stuff I got, and it's some of the 7000 Dixieland stuff. Blue Note's an incredible label, incredible experience. One of the most important jazz labels of any time or any era. You gotta love what Blue Note accomplished. And it's very singular in its approach, very singular in what it's doing. So I figured since I skipped them in my last episode somehow, I figured I'd go a little more in depth with them right now. So that's what we got, 1500 sequence. Stay tuned for more coming up, guys. Peace. Last thing I want to mention real quick is there's some cool new merchandise on the merch store. T-shirts and hoodies featuring my wife, my beautiful wife, behind the turntable, talking about hanging out with the Jazz Shepherd. So if you guys want to support me and my family and the channel, grab a t-shirt or a hoodie. They're in the description below, the merch store. Appreciate you all. Peace.